Hello folks, today we're looking at Tithonus, episode 10 of season 6. Premiering January 24th, 1999, Tithonus places Scully on the trail of a man who just might be immortal. I feel like she might have something in common with him. The episode begins with the spookiest thing imaginable, mail delivery! Although this old man randomly appearing behind her is kind of terrifying. If you're a young woman being followed by an old man in the X-Files, there's a good chance he's your boyfriend from the future. Alright, trying not to be so obvious there, bud. Oh, we found the one guy that literally doesn't see color. Did nobody notice how creepy this old man was being? What I like is how creepy the old man was when following the lady, but as soon as he got off the elevator, he takes off like a cheetah. Oh, I hope this elevator isn't operated by the COS too.
Going down.
Alright, who got their speed in my X-Files? This is starting to feel like a Goosebumps book. At FBI HQ, Scully gets called into Kirsch's office, but I'm not exactly sure why. Mulder hasn't done anything stupid. Yet. I do like how they have a nice publicity shot for her personnel folder though. Scully's been brought in to assist Agent Ritter, who has a rather interesting case. Apparently a crime scene photographer is taking crime scene photos before authorities are even notified. But how could that be possible? Unless he's the one committing the murders? Although this one was a suicide, or was it?
Guy's name is Alfred Feling. He's rattled around Manhattan for years. Apparently a stringer for the wire services and on-call guy for NYPD.
Alright, so the gist of it is, our photographer, Alfred Feling, always seems to be around when someone dies, whether it be murder or a heart attack, which is kinda weird. Kirsch called in Scully to assist Agent Ritter, not because she was on the X-Files, but because of her background as a scientist. I am kinda surprised Kirsch would put her on a case like this since it's not exactly normal, but I do find it amusing that he's not getting Mulder involved, because he knows if he does, things will just go off the rails. Plus, I think he gets off on punishing him. In the meantime, Alfred starts following another monochrome fellow who looks like he's got the meat sweats. I do wonder though, Alfred knows this guy's about to die, but what if instead of taking pictures, he called for an ambulance? Could that maybe save the man's life? Obviously we'll find out why he's not doing that, but I thought I'd mention it.
What are you doing?
Being nosy. Keeping my heart out. They're sending you on an X-File.
It's not an X-File.
Mulder's not even involved and he's already calling in an X-File. He's not wrong though. Do you think he's a little jealous that Scully's working with another man? You know what I hate about this Alfred Feling? Is that name sounds too similar to Max Fenig. Oh, I miss Max.
Yearly renewal dating back to January 1970, but still no original.
I think I've got it. 1964.
Old timer.
What, you mean people age? Okay, that mustache is pretty amazing. Alfred's renewal photos look like when you sign up for a free trial with different emails. What? Gang violence in the Bronx? Since when? Imagine killing someone over light-up shoes, although I could go for a pair right about now. It's a good thing Alfred was there to take pictures and not help in any way. Maybe you should have waited until the murderer had left the scene before trying to take more photos. What the killer doesn't know is Alfred has a +5 resistance to stabbing. Ritter's convinced Alfred is the killer, so they find the old man at home and bring him in for questioning.
You're a photographer.
Holy shit, give this guy a raise. It's pretty understandable that Alfred is brought in considering his fingerprints were found on the murder weapon, but that's bound to happen when you pull it out from your own back. Although because Mulder's not around, Scully has sort of become the believer and starts asking Alfred if he was attacked. You know, it might be easier to see his stab wounds if you turn on the light. Those stab wounds seem to be healing rather quickly. Are we sure this isn't an X-File?
How's your X-File coming?
Mulder, it's not... We haven't made much headway.
I love when Scully has to admit defeat. So Mulder has basically hacked into Kirsch's computer and knows all there is to know about Scully's case. But why did he call her? He already knows everything she does and didn't exactly offer any new information. With Alfred set free, Ritter and Scully take turns keeping watch of his place. But why does Scully have to take the night shift? She was brought in to help him, not take all the crap work. Sorry, I just get grumpy when I see Scully being taken advantage of. Scully gets bored, which I can't exactly blame her, so she decides to question Alfred directly.
You want to take a ride with me? You come with me. I'll show you.
I don't think that's a great idea, but don't worry, Scully makes way worse decisions in the future. How did he know this prostitute would be here? Oh, he's a dirty old man, isn't he? He claims she's about to die, which as an FBI agent should have Scully thinking, excuse me, what? Some creepy guy starts harassing the woman, but good luck doing that sort of thing in front of Scully. If there's one thing she does not like, is watching another woman get assaulted by some douchebag.
Well, that gun ain't mine, Red.
I'm sorry, but that little smack cracks me up. Okay, so the episode has gone full Final Destination now, which kinda makes sense considering that movie started as an X-Files episode, but Alfred was right, the woman did die. Ritter tries giving Scully crap for leaving their surveillance, but who is he to come down on her? Do you think maybe Kirsch is regretting his decision to involve Scully?
A convicted murderer half Felig's age.
He said he would have come in on his own, but he was afraid we wouldn't have believed him.
He's right. Tell me, Ritter, did he have any help concocting that story?
Ritter seems to think that the real murderer, Mr. Wiggins, oh yeah, this guy definitely looks like a Wiggins, was actually a witness to Alfred murdering the young boy, although it feels more like he's just making it up so he can bring Alfred in. For the 100th time, why are all law enforcement so combative with Mulder and Scully? What, is it because she's making you look like a moron?
Yeah, you and your partner, God knows his reputation precedes him, so I guess I should have seen this coming.
If he knew she was going to actually try and solve it and not just put an innocent man away like Ritter wants to, then why involve her?
You muck up my case, and Kirsch will hear about it. Are we clear, Dana?
Scully.
Punch him! Mulder calls up Scully to talk about her non-X-File case, which is definitely an X-File. The best part is he brings up Alfred is 149 years old, to which Scully says, "Excuse me?"
Excuse me?
So the fact this man can predict death, she can accept, but the fact he's 149 is what seems implausible. It's not exactly the first time you've dealt with someone over 100 years old, Scully. Hell, it's not even the first time you've dealt with someone who knows when people are gonna die. God, I wish Scully was waiting at my house when I got home.
You showed me that you profit off of people's deaths. Now why shouldn't you go to prison?
Well, if he goes to prison, doesn't every news agency that's ever existed have to as well? The term, if it bleeds, it leads, exists for a reason. Anyways, Alfred's like, I don't kill those people, he does. I think now that he's starting to talk in third person, it's a good time to leave.
He's the one who takes them.
You're saying that this is a photograph of death itself.
It's a glimpse. Just a glimpse.
Oh, I don't think that's death. That might be the river of slime. The episode sorta takes a depressing turn when Alfred reveals that he's trying to capture death so he can die. He's tried everything, but nothing seems to stick. Although, what if he was on that sub that imploded? How the hell would he survive that? Scully notices a name on one of the photographs that seems to spark something in her brain. But when she calls Mulder, she seems to forget that Alfred is in the other room and he can hear everything she's saying.
Felig is a murderer.
Under the name of Louis Brady, he suffocated 2
Patients in a Connecticut hospital. He says he meant to catch up with death.
So it turns out Alfred is a murderer, but how do you charge a man for murders he committed 70 years prior? Scully starts asking Alfred why he wants to die. But why wouldn't he? Imagine living forever. Ugh, I shudder at the thought. The one thing she mentions is love, but like he says, it only lasts a certain amount of time and then it's gone. Do you really want to watch as everyone you loved dies around you? Oh, Scully, you're looking a little monochromatic. You should probably see a doctor. Alfred then gives Scully a brief history lesson on yellow fever, and she's not at all concerned that he's loading his camera while telling this story. Apparently Alfred here watched as death went around and killed people off one by one, but when it got to him, he just closed his eyes, and instead his poor nurse took the fall. Death is kind of lazy. If he misses you just one time, he can't be bothered to come back and try again.
You want me to believe that I'm about to die?
I just want to take the picture.
You took my picture. You took my picture last night. Is this why?
That was different.
Well, he was just sort of being a peeping Tom for that one. Scully starts freaking out because this guy lets it slip that she's about to die, but I have a hard time believing that. If she can survive being naked in the middle of the Arctic, cancer, and crazed necrophiliacs, she can survive just about anything.
He's coming, and you should just make your peace.
Shut up!
Does death need to smash through doors? Oh no, not Scully!
Agent?
You For First off, you don't just shoot a random unarmed man. Second, just because you're angry at Scully for being right about everything, that doesn't mean you can shoot her. Man, this guy's career is toast. Oh my god, he took her death. But how does she report this whole thing to Kirsch?
You're a lucky man.
Yeah, he's lucky Mulder doesn't kill him himself.
I just think that death only looks for you. And once you seek its opposite.
Tithonus is a pretty fun little episode. The concept that death can be defeated simply by not looking at it is interesting, but how do you really not look at death? I feel like if you're dying, you don't really have much of a choice. The body sort of just does its own thing in that moment. But let's just say it's possible. Does somebody else have to take your spot? It does sort of feel like a take on Final Destination, though the people that escaped death were being stalked by death for the remainder of the film. Here, he just sort of shrugged his shoulders and moved on. But if you can't die, do you still age? Alfred seemed to be the same age for his entire life, so I guess not. Now, if only I could have escaped death's clutches 20 years ago. The episode does basically all but confirm that Scully is immortal, and is sort of a wrap-up to the Clyde Bruckman storyline. But was Scully immortal from the moment Clyde Bruckman told her she wouldn't die?
So how do I die?
You don't.
Or is this the moment where she gains her immortality? There have been a lot of interviews from the writers and producers over the years, and they seem to flip-flop on what the plan was. Which is weird, because since when are the writers indecisive on where the show should go? I've read that at one point this episode was devised as a way of removing her immortality, basically having Alfred take the death for her and having the prophecy of not dying fulfilled. I have also read Chris Carter state, much later after the show had ended, that Scully is in fact immortal. I think the idea is that Alfred basically passed his gift or curse onto Scully, but if that were the case, then why doesn't she see when people are about to die? And do you really want a character that can't die? It kind of makes it anticlimactic when you have a character who can no longer be put in danger. Mulder even mentions that Scully's doctors say she's making the fastest recovery he's ever seen. Does this mean Scully is basically Wolverine now? We saw how quickly Alfred's stab wounds healed. I guess that makes Scully the first member of the X-Men? Overall, it's enjoyable, but it does raise a whole host of questions. The inspiration for Tithonus came from a few different sources, starting with a real-life photographer named Arthur Feling, better known as Weegee. He was a Ukrainian immigrant who roamed New York streets in a beat-up Chevy, listening to a police scanner and snapping crime scene photos for tabloids in the 1930s and 40s. His gritty flashlit shots of murders, car crashes, and everyday city life made him famous, especially after his 1945 book, Naked City. Producer John Sheban was a fan and lent his copy of a Weegee biography to Vince Gilligan, which sparked the idea for the episode. And just a warning, Weegee's crime scene photos are easy to find, but I don't really recommend looking them up. They might be in black and white, but that doesn't make them any less disturbing. I actually sort of regret looking them up myself. The story also ties into the Greek myth of Tithonus, who was granted immortality by the goddess of the dawn, but she forgot to ask for eternal youth, so he grew old and frail, doomed to live forever wishing for death. Vince Gilligan said his girlfriend Holly Rice introduced him to that story through a poem she loved by poet Alfred Lord Tennyson. Another piece of inspiration came from Gilligan's time at NYU. During orientation, he was told that victims of New York's early 1800s yellow fever epidemic were wrapped in yellow sheets and buried in shallow graves in what's now Washington Square Park, right near the campus, something that he never ever forgot. With all those creepy ingredients, the concept for Tithonus came together fast. Producer Frank Spotnitz said they'd wanted to do a story about immortality for years, but couldn't quite figure out how to make it scary, until they hit on the idea of a Weegee-like photographer trying to die. Spotnitz also called the episode a kind of bookend to Clyde Bruckman's Final Repose, since that episode hinted Scully wouldn't die either. Set decorator Tim Stepik said Feling's darkroom set was packed with vintage gear, bottles, film, and hundreds of old photos. They borrowed most of it from the University of California at Riverside's Museum of Photography, thanks to production designer Corey Kaplan, who used to teach there. Stepik joked they basically emptied out the whole museum. The old photos came from Corbis, Bill Gates' image archive, and they used around 150 in total. Visual effects producer Bill Miller handled the scenes where Feling sees people in black and white, meaning they're about to die. They used the same process as movie colorization, just reversed it. Miller later joked that Pleasantville, which came out around the same time and used the same technique, got all the praise while the X-Files version went unnoticed. Jeffrey Lewis, who played Feling, had one of those careers where he popped up in just about everything, from Salem's Lot to the criminally underrated Night of the Comet. He's also the father of 10 kids, including actress Juliette Lewis, who starred in California alongside David Duchovny, and From Dusk Till Dawn, which might be the only movie where I can actually stomach George Clooney. And finally, Richard Ruccolo, who played Peyton Ritter, was best known for Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. His co-star from that show also appeared on The X-Files in the episode Syzygy. That's right, Canada's very own Ryan Gosling. Tithonus currently sits at 8.2 on IMDb. I enjoy this episode a good amount. It's small, doesn't have any crazy monsters or special effects, but I like the story, so I think a 7 is fair. Up next, we're back into the mythology with the Syndicate, Alien Rebels, you know, all the classics. In the episode, Two Fathers. So what do you think of Tithonus? Let me know down in the comments. Anyways, that's all for today. I hope you're having a great day and stay spooky.
What happens?
He said that he can tell when people are about to die.
When death looks you in the eye. I don't date those people. He does.
Who's he?
Get there and find Agent Scully.
I don't believe you.
Yes, you do. That's why you're here.
The X-Files, an all-new episode, Sunday at 9, 8 Central on Fox.
Huge thanks to my channel members for helping me afford luxuries like running water and running water. If you want to join this elite club of spooky enablers, just click that little join button. It's cheaper than immortality and way less cursed.